Flo Rida has a lot of hits. I mean, a lot of big songs. A weirdly massive amount of hits, yet somehow he's really nobody's favorite artist, is he? Never really seems to come up when we're talking about the great pop artists, does he? You know, I figure nobody in the world has a Flo Rida tattoo, if you know what I mean. Except for Flo Rida himself, actually. He's been frequently criticized by critics for his supposed lack of talent, and maybe rightly so. Been criticized a lot for not even being the highlight of his own tracks, and possibly rightly so. Here's the thing about Flo Rida. Nobody at the party really cares about that, you know? He raps over a dance beat with a really catchy hook, and that's really all we ever asked of him. I mean, do people at the party really care about his lyrical content? At the moment, probably not, you know? He makes people want to have fun, doesn't he? You know, sure, the critics don't love the guy, but they did give him 5 Grammy nominations, which is 4 more than they ever gave Pitbull, which is really actually kind of messed up considering Pitbull is just a better version of Flo Rida in a lot of ways. But, you know, if they had a Grammy for a song that gets a good crowd response, you'd probably have a lot more than 5 nominations. Our criteria for this video is that the song has to have cracked the US top 40, and you know, Flo Rida had a surprising amount of songs that did. And we're going in classic reverse order for the sake of fun, so these songs are going to get more and more useful and more powerful for a crowd as we go along. These songs are strictly rated on crowd response. I do not care if they are good songs or bad songs. My opinion on them does not matter, but you know, I might talk about it anyway. This is clearly one of his lesser hits, and you can absolutely tell by crowd reaction should you decide to play it. Not a lot more to say about it than that. All the ingredients are here for this to be a hit with lasting power, you know, like the other Timbaland hits, you know, Promiscuous, Way I Are, Sexy Back, but it just isn't there, it just didn't happen with this one. This is just another lesser hit. It's got a great chorus by Akon though, and that's going to be a trend across a lot of these songs. Flo Rida songs always have amazing pop choruses and sometimes forgettable verses, and sometimes that's Flo Rida on the verse and somebody else on the chorus. Think about that what you want. I actually do kind of enjoy Flo Rida's contributions to this song, so it's just not something that really works at gigs though. This is just another one that's one of his weaker hits. Generally one of the weaker members of the Blue Dabba Dee extended family of songs. And I guess that actually really hurts it, because at this point I'd almost always rather play I'm Good or I'm going to play the Eiffel 65 original. I'm just not going to touch this one, but not gonna lie though, this chorus is very catchy and it does have some recognition if you play it. It's not nothing, but probably going to hurt you more than it helps you to incorporate this into your sets. Now this one has a horrible recognition to party ratio. Like, I reckon damn near everybody in the world knows this song, and it really doesn't inspire any of them to want to party, which I think might be partly due to it just kind of being slow. Like, almost all the other songs in this list are sitting comfortably around 130 BPM, and that's kind of the name of the game these days when it comes to pop hits, so, you know, that really drags it down. Not a winner, but it exists. People will react sometimes a little bit, I don't know. So I was just talking to my guy Brock. Shout out to Brock Steady, DJ friend of mine out in State College. We were talking about songs that were working, and he brought this one up. He was like, you know, this song actually worked really well for me at a gig recently. So I was like, huh, that's interesting, because it never works for me. So I went and I tried it again, and it still didn't work for me, but it worked for somebody recently, so do with that what you will. You know, I just never liked that song, and that might have kind of hurt the delivery a little bit. I don't know, I always liked that Bingo Players song, Cry Just a Little. I loved playing that one. And then this song came along and added precisely nothing of value to what was already a good song, and I don't know, just never liked this one, and thankfully it doesn't work that well, so I don't really got to play it. Actually, I did see this one guy on YouTube that seems to love this song, so, you know, I said earlier, nobody in the world probably has a Flo Rida tattoo. Shit, maybe this guy does. Now, this is generally a well-received hit, right? You know, people know this song. But I guess there's one big problem with this song, and that's that you're probably pretty much always better off just playing Levels. You know, even though by the numbers, these are kind of like comparable hits, Levels is just far more beloved and far more respected than that. And I think at a lot of gigs, if you play this song instead of Levels, I think you're going to seem super corny, and I think you're going to lose some friends on the dance floor. Like, so technically it works. The song gets a response. But I think in the long run, at a lot of gigs at least, it's going to hurt you. So, still sitting at number 9. Now this is really Flo Rida at his lyrical A-game. I actually do remember a lot of what he says in this song, which is more than I can say about a lot of his songs. Usually his verses are pretty forgettable. This was a really frequently requested song back when this was new, and it worked well back then. And now I think it's, again, its biggest disadvantage is just low BPM, low energy. If you're gonna drop down to like the 90 BPMs and you're doing like a pop set, you're gonna need to bring more energy than that. You're gonna need to have like a Party in the USA kind of response, or like a lip gloss level of frantic energy, and this really doesn't have either. It's just kind of thumping along. It's some decent early night stuff, and I gotta give him credit for carrying his own chorus on this one. He actually does a good job in this case. This one was absolutely massive when it was new. I played this at damn near every gig for like a long time. This is another one where Flo Rida inserts himself into an existing instrumental. In this case, it was the Lucas remix of Low Rider, which was a remix that I was actually playing quite a bit at the time. It was a cool left turn that I really liked to work into my sets, and suddenly Flo Rida comes along with this hit song, it samples it, and I can't play the remix I like anymore because I can't do the same drop twice in one set. So another one that kind of pisses me off for that reason. But nonetheless, it has not aged well, and it's not something that really works that well in a set. But it doesn't flop either. You can play this, and it will get a reaction. I tested it, and it does something. Oh, hot damn, this is my jam. I love this song. It's just some more good up-tempo pop music from Flo Rida with a great hook, and you gotta mix it fast though. It's not a massive song, and sometimes I even play just the hook. In fact, usually I play just one hook, and then I go to something else. But in that moment, it's hitting, it's rocking, it's bumping. So good to have in your sets, but not the peak. Now this one hits right away and gets a great response in my experience. It has died down some in terms of crowd response over the past 5 years or so that I've been playing it as a throwback, but you know, it's just a strong, well-produced track with great recognition. However, I gotta say, like, you should have let Kesha have a verse on this one. I mean, instead she's just a completely uncredited singer on the chorus. At least at the time it came out. I think they gave her credit on it eventually. But imagine, in an alternate universe, a Kesha verse on this song. Kesha has great verses, everybody knows that. Now imagine if there was a Kesha verse and that was the verse to play and everybody knew every word. You know, like those Nicki Minaj only edits where you just play the Nicki verse. Like, if there was a Kesha only version of this song, I guess with no Flo Rida vocals preferably, like this could be a great like generational hit, but said he squandered her, and she went on to have a bunch of big hits of her own, but just imagine what could have been. And here is another up-tempo dance track with an amazing pop chorus. This one has great sing-along recognition right from the first beat. I think this one benefits from multiple TikTok bumps. Like, I think recently there was a sped-up version of this song that was all over TikTok. Might be wrong, might be misremembering, but it has had some virality in recent, and this absolutely works. With the low point, though, being Flo Rida himself. Wild Ones is just a perfect example of Flo Rida being like the weak link on his own song. I think Axwell's production and Sia's chorus do the bulk of the heavy lifting on this one. In fact, I don't even know if the Flo Rida verse does a lot for anybody. Now just imagine, in another universe, there is an EDM version of this. There's Axwell featuring Sia, or Sia featuring Axwell. And it's just Sia singing the verses, and the chorus, and the drop. Like, this could be huge. This could be like a Clarity level song. This could be like Titanium, or We Found Love. But instead, Flo Rida got on the verse and made it what it is. Another solid B-tier throwback track. And again, I think Flo Rida did a fine job. Like, people love this song as is, but you know, just imagine what could have been. This one gets a fantastic reaction right from the beginning, and though people might not know every word of them, Flo Rida's verses really do carry the energy chorus to chorus, and you can play this one for a while before people get bored of it. Just good, fun, uplifting party stuff. I'd get this requested probably more than any other Flo Rida song, apart from the other two I'm about to tell you about. This is some really top shelf stuff here, and it is sitting pretty comfortably above Club Can't Handle Me, mainly because of its verse from the one and only Nicki Minaj. Now, a lot of people will sing every word of this verse if you play it at your gigs, and there's a lot more than I can say about a lot of the songs on this list. I mean, a lot of them are just lacking in the verse department. But you bring in one of the best MCs in the game, actually, to sing your verse. You got Flo Rida on the hook, you got yourself a hit. And a hit this one is. Love playing this one at gigs. It has fantastic staying power. This one will actually keep people engaged for a while. You can sit in this one for a while, which is More than I can say about a lot of songs these days. Great stuff.
Good morning, everybody. Digital Dave here to talk about the #1 Flo Rida song, my top Flo Rida song, and I think everybody's top Flo Rida song is probably the same. It is probably going to be Low. And that is partially thanks to T-Pain, who is the millennial national treasure of the United States. What I want to talk about in a little more depth, though, is some of the versions of Low I play, since I think Low being the top Flo Rida song is unanimous. So the first version I want to talk about is the DJ Nova transition. This was back in the Crooklyn Clan days, and it went from Get Low by Lil Jon and the East Side Boys into Low by Flo Rida and T-Pain. It transitions from 101 up to 128, and the transition itself is great. It doesn't lose energy. It doesn't get boring during the transition part. But the other great thing about it is the fact that this is a great bathroom break song. If you're at a party bar or if you're at a wedding, DJing a wedding, this is a great bathroom break song that you can play for 5 minutes, and it's just, we'll cover you and you'll have a dance floor there when you get back. The second version I want to talk about is the Victor Menego blend. I believe it was called Shook Me All Night Low. This was also from that Crooklyn Clan era, and this was back in the day when a mashup, the title of a mashup would also be a blending of the names of the two songs. So Victor Menego took the guitar riff from AC/DC's Shook Me All Night Long, put a heavier beat under it, did a little redrum, and dropped in the Low a cappella. This is not an everyday play for me, but if I do have a wedding that wants me to work into some classic rock, this is a smooth way to segue in and out of classic rock. The third Low version I'm going to talk about, and final one, is the Everlake remix. This is a new remix of Low. It has a Jersey club feel. It's around 140, and you can use it to work Low in with things like I Just Wanna Rock and Nicki's Everybody. And it gives it a more modern feel. If you're playing it for a younger crowd, you can work it in with some Jersey club, and it just gives it more of an updated feel. So that would be the third version of Low that I want to mention and shout out today. So Low, Flo Rida, T-Pain, Flo Rida's unanimous, undisputed #1 song.
Apple Bottom Jeans. That's right, I'm going to call it that because the song should have been called that. That's right, all those people that requested it as Apple Bottom Jeans, I think they're right. I mean, Low is probably the most generic song title possible. Like, I'd be hard pressed to think of a more generic song title for a club song. Like if somebody says, oh, play Low. Like, you don't even really think of this one at first, but they come to you, hey, you got Apple Bottom Jeans? You know Apple Bottom Jeans. Apple Bottom Jeans would be one of the all-time great song titles. So, we're gonna call it that. It's Apple Bottom Jeans. Now, DJs hate on this song so much for being played out that I've actually started to believe them. And I'll just throw it out there like super early in the night, like whatever, who cares? Let's just throw it out there. Song doesn't matter, I don't need to save it for peak hour or anything. And I'll look up and everybody's getting down. And when I say everybody, I mean everybody. Kids, adults, grandparents, I mean, think about this. Little kids who were not alive when this 18-year-old song came out, they think it's cool. And you know why that is? It's because it is cool. Now, there are a lot of great edits of this song, of course, but honestly, the original track is just perfect as it is. It has that great little synth build-up, slams right into a chorus, and just keeps the damn energy at a 10 all the way through. And it's got an absolutely top-shelf chorus from the one and only T-Pain, and it's easy to mix in and out of, and I wouldn't change a thing. And that is 5-time Grammy nominee Flo Rida. Kind of an unsung hero of the pop world, if you ask me. I mean, the guy's been on a lot of hits, and a lot of hits that have actually aged pretty well. I mean, if you think about what's working right now in pop rooms, and pop rooms are where you're playing Flo Rida songs, it is often 128 BPM danceable sing-along hits, and that's what the guy makes. And a lot of his old songs are currently getting a better crowd response than a lot of new songs, so good for Flo Rida, I guess. I mean, the guy was never a great generational talent. I think we all knew that. He was really only as good as the team he was working with. But is that really an issue if you're always collaborating with the best in the game? I don't know. But let's just really quick imagine an alternate reality. Now what if Flo Rida had done the same exact formula of rapping over dance beats and having the best in the game singing on his hooks, only he was actually a good rapper? And he was still bald, but he was bald in an iconic way that made people want to dress up as him. And he was inspiring. And he sometimes rapped in Spanish, and he was incredibly vulgar while still being radio friendly. How different would that have looked? And how many more hits would he have had?